you've already bet on yourself by jumping out there and starting your business anyway. So why not believe in your authenticity? Why not believe in your own messaging and what you have to offer? Because the reality is that when you are yourself and build your brand around your own values, then you are really attracting the people that are your target audience. Want to transform your business into a brand that truly shines? Well, you're in the right place. My name is Summer Vega, and I am thrilled to have you here. With over 25 years of experience from leading communications teams to building my business from scratch, I've seen it all: setbacks, success, and everything in between. And guess what? I'm here to spill the beans on what it truly takes to build and sustain a brilliant brand. So whether you're just starting out or looking to revamp your existing brand, you'll find golden nuggets of wisdom right here. We'll dive deep into strategies, mindset shifts, and nitty-gritty details that make brands extraordinary. Stick around, because Brilliant Brands Academy is where we believe that every entrepreneur has the potential to create something truly exceptional. And together, we'll turn that potential into reality. So hit the subscribe button and let's get started on this exciting journey to brand brilliance. In today's episode, we're talking about building your brilliant brand authentically and the do's and don'ts that will help you avoid common mistakes when building your business. So let's dive in. Number one, do not copy someone else's brand. I know it seems super obvious. Who in the world would do that? But you'd be surprised how often people fall into the trap of literally mimicking someone else's brand, whether it's using identical phrases or adopting a competitor's visual style. Copying is tempting, but is very damaging in the long run. I have seen this in Facebook groups where colleagues of mine have complained that they experienced, I call it brand identity theft. I'm just making that term up. We got identity theft. Well, this is almost like brand identity theft, because this is literally how they feel when this happens to them. And it's never happened to me, thank God, but I've seen the reaction and the violation that individuals feel when it's happened to them. And that is having another business owner literally taking their branding, their content, and word for word slapping it onto their own brand. And I'm telling you, I've even seen where advertisements where if you put them together verbatim, word for word, it says the exact same thing. They just kind of switched out the logos, switched out their photo to make it their own, and called it a day. Well, yeah, I'm calling it brand identity theft. That's what it is. And it's something that, even though it might be like, oh, it's working for that person, I'm just going to do it. It's, first of all, it's just plain out wrong to do. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. But second of all, it doesn't benefit you in the long run at all. Your brand needs to showcase who you are, what you offer, and why it's unique. So when you mimic someone else, then you're almost catfishing. I know I'm just pulling out all these jargons that are out there, but it's almost like you're catfishing a brand to be something that it's not. It's deceitful, and you don't want to put yourself out there pretending to be someone that you're not. And reality is, you've already bet on yourself by jumping out there and starting your business anyway. So why not believe in your authenticity? Why not believe in your own messaging and what you have to offer? Because the reality is that when you are yourself and build your brand around your own values, then you are really attracting the people that are your target audience. I know I constantly say that from podcast episode to podcast episode, but it's true. It comes down to who are you attracting. So this is very important. Build your identity around your own values, goals, and personality. Now, statistics show that 60% of consumers prefer to buy from brands that reflect their personal values. So authenticity matters. You have to keep your brand original. Now, number 2, very similar kind of to the first one, but slightly different. And that is, don't just copy and paste content for your campaigns. In the other example, I literally meant other people's campaigns. In this example, I'm referring to ChatGPT and AI tools. So you could use these tools as a framework or as a thought partner, but you'll want to avoid simply copying and pasting content from tools like ChatGPT. Because when you do, your brand voice becomes really generic and it loses its unique appeal. So instead, you need to think of these tools like it's your assistant or teammate, your brainstorming partner, not a content factory. You leverage it for lists, you do leverage it for outlines and frameworks you can adapt. So that's the key. You have to adapt it so that you can keep your personal messaging so that it still is your intellectual property. So when you are using tools like a ChatGPT, yeah, you can get those ideas, but you really have to provide the meat of the content. You have to go in and make sure that it sounds like you and that it even resonates with your beliefs and what you would want to bring out in your finished product. So it's just a helpful tool, like a helpmate. It's not the end all be all at all. Plus, you have to be careful that things aren't being repetitive. ChatGPT tends to repeat itself over and over again, using some of the same exact words and phrases over and over again, and it begins to sound like a bot, quite honestly. So you'll want to use ChatGPT just as like your planning partner, and that's it. You've got to avoid copying and pasting that content. Now, number 3, don't launch ideas without protecting them. One of the most important actions you can take to protect your intellectual property is to trademark it, copyright it, patent it. You get what I'm saying. All of those legal things that really protect your property. For example, I sat on Brilliant Brands Academy for a while until I could get it trademarked. And I trademarked it myself, went to the website myself and followed directions verbatim to get it trademarked. Some people may want to use an attorney. So definitely if you feel like you need a little help with that, go ahead and hire an attorney, a reputable attorney who is well versed on this. But if you are very serious about your brand name, your logo, or a signature service, take the time to trademark it. Take the time to protect it. Unfortunately, many entrepreneurs miss out on this because they rush into launch without proper protection, only to find others using similar branding down the line. That is like the worst thing, the worst feeling I could imagine is really building a business name only to find out someone else is using it. And then you could potentially get into a battle of, okay, who does this name belong to? Also, you could take it a little further and go ahead and purchase the URL for this business name or idea. You can also make sure that you secure the social media identity for that. And you can even go as far as to making sure that you have a spot in the meta if you want to go that far. The case in point is that you want to protect your ideas. All of the things that you know that you really want to build, you'll need to protect. Another important thing in regards to this specifically is that you also want to make sure that you aren't infringing on someone else's protected property. So when you even take the steps to trademark or copyright, there is a way that you can go onto the United States Patent Office and see if someone else has your business name, your one of the branding names that you want to own. They will check it for you to make sure it's not already protected by someone else. I do want to caution you, especially for those who use template platforms or software apps that are amazing for creating content. But I do want to say that if you have a plan of using your imagery and your logo specifically for the long haul, then using a template platform like Canva or Envato Elements is not the route that you want to go. And I say this because someone owns those icons, most likely. I have a former client who went through one of my coaching programs who had experience with a graphic designer that she hired from one of the freelance marketplaces that are out there. And she hired this graphic designer to create a logo for her company. Now, the logo ended up being almost like a template logo. Now, she was happy with it, but unbeknownst to her, it being a template logo from one of the main platforms, whether it was using clip art, whatever it was, the icon was already owned by somebody else. And what happened was she went to trademark her logo and it was denied. It was not approved because the icon was in use already. And honestly, if you looked at the logo icon, you've probably seen it too. It was a wellness company and it was an image that is used often for wellness. It was perfect for it. But unbeknownst to her, it was actually already trademarked or copywritten by someone else. So not only did she, in her case, she hired an attorney to do this. Not only did she lose out on her money, but she also had to pivot her branding as well. So you'll want to make sure that your logo is protected. And if you are hiring someone else to do the work for you in regards to creating a logo, you want to make sure that it is definitely customized. It's a customized logo. Even some text can be copywritten. Some typography can be copywritten. So you have to be very, very careful with that. Number 4, don't host an event without a clear purpose. So this comes on the brinks of me recently attending a beautifully executed event where I was left wondering what the actual purpose was. No clear call to action. There's no clear next steps. It was just a nice evening with absolutely no follow through. If you are investing the time, energy, and resources into an event, you need to make sure that it counts. Remember, events are opportunities for direct engagement. So you'll want to make sure that your attendees know how to move forward with you, whether it's signing up for a consultation, purchasing a product, or attending a future event even. I mean, if you have an audience that have attended this event, they are a captive audience that have already opted in to hearing what you have to offer. At that point, the hard pitch, the hard sell is definitely appropriate for that. According to Eventbrite, events with a clear call to action actually see 30% higher engagement. I have a chiropractor that I go to, and they host several events throughout the year. Some provide dinners for free, complimentary dinners, and then information about the body and how the body works, etc. And then there's an offer on the table that because of attending the event, you get a discounted rate for a consultation offer that is discounted quite tremendously, quite honestly. But it's a smart tool to gain new leads. So if you were doing an event, you've got to make sure that it's just not for the sake of doing something pretty and nice. But I mean, unless that's the purpose, if the purpose of your event is just to give something to the audience and that's it, okay, that's fine. But if you're doing the event for exposure and for new business, why not do the call to action? Why not have something that you are selling that you can get some commitment behind right then and there? The next thing has to do with events. It's number 5, and that's don't attend networking events without a plan. Instead of just going to networking events, there's one of two things. You can go to a networking event and be a fly on the wall, which quite honestly is what I would naturally default to. I just like to be in the room. And as an introverted person, I tend to shy away from meeting new people. It's just the way I am. Now, through the years, I've grown to realize that I cannot operate like that, especially if I'm a business owner and I'm a business leader. I need to make the effort to meet new individuals. First thing you don't want to do is just sit as a fly on the wall, not talk to anyone. The second thing that you don't want to do is go in without a strategy. I've seen people go in and just meet a whole lot of people, but walk away with no phone numbers, no connections, etc. I've also seen people walk in and all they're doing is hard pitches, talking about what they offer, what they do, what they can do for you. Well, even that's a turn off. Instead, you need to go to these networking events with a clear plan. You have to go with a strategy because you can lose opportunities if you don't. So before you go, set goals. For instance, how many people do you want to connect with? What's your plan for follow-up? And approach the networking event with intention so that you're maximizing your time and making genuine connections. In fact, I'd say that you shouldn't be doing all of the talking and conversations. You need to be asking questions, getting to know individuals, get to know not only who they are and what they do, but what they enjoy doing. Those kinds of things. Remember, people follow you or are connected to you because they know, like, and trust you. So these events in many cases are your opportunity to have a first impression with an individual and just see if there's some commonality, not just in business, but just personally as well. When I go to events, sometimes I'll say to myself, okay, Summer, make sure that you talk to 5 people and just get to know who they are. Then make sure you do exchange contact information with the individuals that you're really connecting well with, and then ask them if you can contact them when the event is over. You like to stay in touch, etc. That's going with intention and going with a plan. Next in your do's and don'ts is don't use industry jargon without explanation. So if you're a subject matter expert, it can be easy to fall into using technical language. For example, if you're in the fitness industry, you could easily default to using the technical language of the body, but your audience, many people who are in the industry wouldn't know what you're talking about. So for instance, if you're saying the word patella, you'll simply want to define what that is. Kneecap. You've got to add clarification. Additionally, break down those acronyms and avoid overusing industry-specific language. So I worked in education, and education has the most acronyms for so many things. So what we ended up doing was creating an acronym dictionary. That's how many acronyms there were, because what ended up happening is you be in conversations and they're throwing out these acronyms and it's like, what does that mean? In fact, I just partnered with someone who was using an acronym, and for the longest time, I thought it meant a legal document. Unbeknownst to me, the acronym was actually one of the things that they developed just as a part of their own business. So not only do you want to avoid industry acronyms, but you want to avoid the ones that are specific to your business only. You got to assume that people don't know what you're talking about, especially if they are just coming into your community. You have to avoid these jargons that just roll off the tongue because you use them often, because otherwise it's almost like you're not even speaking to them. You're speaking above them. You got to break down those acronyms and avoid overusing those industry specific language. Studies show that clear, jargon-free communication builds trust and keeps audiences engaged. And that was a study done by the Harvard Business Review. The next thing is you don't want to rush an idea without strategic planning. So this is the seventh one. You don't want to rush an idea without strategic planning. It's easy to get excited about a new idea, but not every idea fits your brand. You've got to take a step back and evaluate, is this idea aligned with your brand voice? Will it resonate with your audience? And, is it just a trend? I mean, you don't have to trace every single shiny thing, every trend that is out there. Only those that align with your purpose and your vision are ones worth following. Forbes reports that 67% of successful brands focus on consistency rather than jumping on every new trend. Be yourself. I mean, I think that's like the main topic of this thing. I know it's the do's and don'ts, but at the end of the day, just be yourself and just make sure things truly do align with what your brand is, what your business is. Number 8, don't try to do everything alone. So part of building a brilliant brand is knowing when to delegate. And I would even say also knowing when to hire a coach or to get classes per se, whether it's for coaching for your business on the next steps, how to do launches, all of the things that you feel like you don't want to be alone in, or even things you've never done before. Go ahead and hire someone who's done it before, has tried and true methods that you trust, who can help you along the way. Now, if you are in a position to hire an actual contractor or hire an employee, whether it's graphic design, content creation, event management, whatever it is, bringing on an expert lets you focus on your specific strengths. So when you delegate, you give people the autonomy to perform. And when you give them that ability to perform that specific task, let them do it. Do not micromanage, because micromanaging stalls projects and it also stifles creativity. I find that with myself, when I work with clients who give me free rein, the best comes out of me personally, because I'm able to have true creative freedom. And likewise, when I hire experts, they have the skills that I need to enhance my business. So I don't want to be the bottleneck that's stifling the process. I like to delegate and give true ability for others to be able to approve and move forward with the work that needs to be done. All right, so now we're at number 9. Visual consistency is the key to building brand recognition. So don't have a visual inconsistency in your branding. Your audience should be able to identify your brand at a glance, whether it's on social media, in an email, or in a physical setting. Changing your colors, fonts, and photography styles too frequently can confuse your audience and weaken your brand loyalty. In fact, studies show that consistent brand presentation across platforms can actually increase revenue by up to 23%, according to Lucid Press. To ensure consistency, you have to develop a brand style guide and define your color palette, your font choices, your image Filters are also something that you can consider in your overall aesthetic. This guide becomes your reference point, ensuring that every piece of content aligns visually with your brand identity. And it also makes sure it's easy for customers to recognize and trust you. I would say that identifying your brand in this way also is easily duplicatable as well. So as you are hiring other individuals as a part of your business, by having a clear, defined brand style guide, you are leaving little room for error or for people to go off in a direction that is not maintaining the integrity of your business. All right, so number 10, this is the final one. I'm giving you 10 don'ts, do's and don'ts. Don't ignore feedback from your audience. Now, this is key. You have to listen to your audience. It is very crucial for brand growth and improvement. Often businesses assume that they know what their customers want without actually asking or responding to feedback. This can lead to missed opportunities or even worse, a disconnect with your core audience. So according to a study by Microsoft, 77% of consumers view brands more favorably if they proactively invite and act on customer feedback. The do here is simple. Just actively seek out and use audience feedback to refine your products, services, and messaging. You got to utilize surveys, comment sections, reviews, and social media interactions to understand what's actually resonating with your audience and where you can improve. Making changes based on real feedback not only shows your audience that you value their opinion, but it also helps you stay relevant and customer focused. That's very important. Now, I would even say that when you even have your audience of current clients, you also want to make sure that you are responsive to them. You need to make sure that when they email you, that you are responding to them. All of this has to do with acknowledging their feedback, acknowledging their emails, acknowledging their communication. You have to have a way where your communication with your client is a two-way street and that you are actually acknowledging, you are responding to them in a timely manner and making necessary pivots sooner than later. So let's recap a little bit. These are the do's and don'ts of branding and business growth. Number 1 was do not copy someone else's brand. Number 2, don't copy and paste content from tools like ChatGPT, AI tools for your campaigns. Number 3, don't launch ideas without protecting them. Trademark, copyright, patent, those kinds of things. Number 4, don't host an event without a clear purpose or call to action. Number 5, don't attend a networking event without a plan to gather contacts and connect with new individuals. Number 6, don't use industry jargon or acronyms without an explanation. Number 7, don't rush into a new business idea or trend without strategic planning. Number 8, do not try to do everything alone. You want your business to be scalable. Number 9, do not create visual inconsistency with your brand because consistency is key to building brand recognition. And number 10, don't ignore feedback from your audience. Make sure your communication is showing that their opinion matters, their remarks matter. So there you have it. We've got 10 ways to make sure that you're building your brand authentically and the do's and don'ts that will help you avoid very common branding mistakes. In fact, these are things that you can do today, no matter what state of your business you're in. I'm sure there's something that you can tweak or something that you can stop doing or something that you can start doing today. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. And remember, building a brand isn't just about visibility. It's about being genuine, strategic, and consistent. These do's and don'ts are here to help you guide yourself towards building a brand that not only stands out, but genuinely connects with your audience. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe for more insights from Brilliant Brands Academy. Until next time, keep building brilliance.